My name is Claire Constable. I'm the Assistant Editor for Design at Bloomsbury Visual Arts.
And I'm Louise Baird-Smith. I'm one of the commissioning editors for design and photography books. So this is a talk in collaboration with the Design Incubation team and Bloomsbury Publishing. Just talking you through really how to start off with the book proposal, how to present it, and sort of what we're looking for. So the first thing that you want to establish is, what is the book? What sort of book is it? Is it going to be a research book, so looking at quite high level, specific academic scholarly work, or is it something that might be used by students and professionals in their day-to-day lives? Or is it something like a textbook that would be used by sort of first year or above undergraduates? Or is it going to be a big reference book which is covering the whole state of a specific topic or subject? Once you've established what sort of book it's going to be, you need to work out who it's for. So like these ones, you know, you'd have the books for the students, you might have books for researchers and books for academics. You need to look at why they actually want that book. Is it something that's going to be aligning to their course, or is it going to be something that they need to pass exams, or is it looking at a new technology that they might be using in their work? So those are the key considerations that you need to think about when you start looking at a book proposal. And then you need to think about which publisher you'll be looking to contact.
In terms of choosing your publisher, doing some research and just looking at websites is obviously a really good idea. You want to work with a publisher who already publishes books in your area, and just checking websites is a really good way to.
Yeah, and different publishers might have different lists they work on. So, you know, you might have one publisher like Taschen who do very big, beautiful books that might end up in museums, but you might have others who are like university presses who wouldn't necessarily have books that go into bookstores but are very high-level research. So having a look at sort of the different focus that they have is important.
When you get to the stage of wanting to put together, prepare a proposal, most publishers, or definitely Bloomsbury at least, have a set proposal document which we like authors to complete. You can find that on our website, or I think academic contacts are all listed on the website, so if you just get in touch, someone will be very happy to send you through their document. It's really a good idea to give as much detail as possible and to stick obviously to the structure of the proposal document. So that's just basically looking at things like what your book is about, what is its coverage, what is the kind of structure. We ask for an annotated table of contents. That can be really useful for us in terms of gauging what the book is, kind of who it's for and what it's.
Yeah, and that's basically just like how you'd have an abstract for a journal, so just a really short description of each chapter.
If you could give some information on what's unique about your book, what's special about it, in what way is it better than competitor titles, who you think their potential readers would be, and also obviously what your experience is. So sometimes I think authors submit CVs alongside proposal documents, which can be really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, particularly if you teach in the area or have done specific research already, that's really good for us to know. Mm-hmm. And depending on the publisher as well, they may ask for some sample material. Particularly on the sort of the textbook side, it's really useful for us to have a sample chapter or a sample of a few pages from a chapter, just so we can see the writing style and the level that you write at. For academic books, it might be less important, but each publisher will work in a different way. So some will ask for the whole book, but the majority of publishers would want to see some sample material, and then they can work with you on that. So the general process is, once you've put together this proposal document, it'll go to me or one of my colleagues who will send you feedback on whether it looks roughly appropriate for the list. So if it aligns with the current books that we've got, it's not competing with something we already have, it's filling a gap in our list, but for a market that we know that we can reach with our contacts. So if it's all looking good and it's looking like a topic of interest, then we'll send you feedback and it's a sort of collaboration between you and us on making sure that it's as strong as it can be at proposal stage, so that a lot of the development work happens up front, particularly for the more academic books. We want to make sure that it's that we're both clear on the process and what the actual project would be. Then we sort of look at financial aspects as well at that point. So if it's a book that's going to be based around gallery or archival material, that's obviously very expensive. So if it's a book that has a very small market, then that could mean that financially it wouldn't work for us. So those are the sort of things that we consider at that first initial stage. And once we're happy with it, then we'll take it on to peer review, which Claire will mention in a second. But occasionally there will be times where it's not the right book for us, or if it needs changes, it might not be quite what you want to publish. So if it doesn't look like it would work for the first publisher you contact, that doesn't mean that it's not a good potential book, and we would be happy to point you in the direction of someone it might fit with better if it's not right for our list at that point.
So if we think it is a project that might be interesting for us, we would send it out for peer review to academics who teach or research in the area, just to get some initial feedback on what they think. Obviously we can advise from a publishing perspective, but it's really good to get kind of expert advice from people working in that area. We do organise that anonymously, but you'll see that on the proposal document we invite suggestions if there's someone you think would be particularly suitable to review a book. We're always very happy to hear your ideas.
Mm-hmm. And it can help guide sort of where we send it to, even if we don't use them specifically.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's something that we'd organise. We aim to get peer review feedback complete in a month, but sometimes the process can take longer. And yeah, then we would return that feedback to you anonymously, and then it would be...
Yeah, then we sort of discuss it through, both in terms of the editor and editorial assistant, whoever's working with you on the project at that point. Then we chat through peer review and work out if it's something that we need to do changes on, or if it's looking as strong as it is. Occasionally there might be a second round of peer reviews if big changes need to be made, but we use that, like Claire said, as sort of guidance. We can look at it as a book project, but actually, yeah, from the academic side, it's really helpful to have that extra peer review level of assessment as well. So if we decide that at that point that the project could work for us, both financially and in terms of adding something to the field that's new, then we'd put together a proposal pack for our publishing committee. So that's sales, marketing, editorial colleagues who will look at the project as a potential investment basically for the publisher. So we would look at potential print run, costings, royalties, looking at the scope of the book, whether it's an international coverage, and the sort of the marketing and where we would be pushing the book to. And hopefully at that point, if it all goes through, then we would be able to offer a contract. So that's the point at which you and your editor will discuss and agree what you are agreeing to and what publishers are agreeing to, and that's usually in terms of delivery, timescales, what it is that each party are doing. For most publishers, it's a pretty standard sort of template of what's covered, but it usually includes things like proofreading and who's responsible for that, who's responsible for the indexing, and the number of images and words. Yeah, and I don't know if you want to just run over quickly the time frames that are usually involved in each stage up to contract.
Yeah, definitely. So when you send us a proposal, we will always acknowledge it and then aim to get our own feedback, our in-house editor's feedback to you within a month. On from that, we'd hope to have peer review feedback for you within hopefully a maximum of 3 months. And then typically the kind of full process from us receiving the proposal to making revisions as necessary following the review to being able to offer a contract would be hopefully about 6 months.
Yeah, that's the ideal. Sometimes it's quicker and sometimes it's slower, but it sort of depends on, you know, the time of year and often sort of how many revisions are needed. So once you're offered a contract, once it's signed, you'd usually have, it's usually about a year to a year and a half to write the book. But obviously that's done in collaboration with you, and you know, if you're going up for tenure or if you're having a sabbatical, that might affect the time frame that you've got to write the book. So we want to work with you to make sure that we've got a date that is accurate and that we don't end up missing, because that can be quite disastrous for our books. So that's done in collaboration with you, and during that process there's various points at which you check in with the editorial team in-house. So you might be working with a development editor if you're working on one of our big textbooks, so they will be working with you on individual chapters and on the images and things like that. So there's various stages throughout that process before it then gets peer reviewed and taken through to the production process, which is when it's copy edited, proofread, typeset, all the rest of that.
Some reasons to publish with Bloomsbury: we sort of, I think, combine the best of an academic press in that we have 2 stages minimum of rigorous anonymous peer review, and we kind of combine that with the best parts of a trade publisher in that our books also look really nice, which is especially relevant for visual arts publishing. I would mention that we really pride ourselves on having good relationships with authors. I think it's a much more personal relationship than perhaps...
than maybe some of the bigger publishers.
Yeah. So you will have one editor who you work with through the publishing process.
Yeah. And that is a very quick run through of the publishing process up to contract. And after that point, you just have to write the book. So pretty easy. So yeah, if you've got any questions, our contact details will be available after this. So yeah, thanks.